Daniel Andrews apparently was serving himself up, Cory, as a person who knows more than epidemiologists because he trusts old Bambi Eyes Sutton. This is what happened when a person dared actually say that at this point in time, with just 10 cases a day, we probably don't need the 5K rule to be as aggressively policed as when we had 700 cases a day. Roll the tape.
Well, with the greatest of respect to Catherine Bennett, she's not the Chief Health Officer. She can have views, lots of views. I've got to say to you, I'm not getting into this modelling debate again. I'm just not. We've got a series of decisions that have been made. This strategy is working, the numbers are coming down, and there are aggregate benefits that come from each and every one of the different measures that we've taken. They're taken on health advice. That doesn't mean that every health professional, every person from public health across the world would necessarily agree with every decision we've made, but you have to call it. You have to call these things, and that's exactly what we've done.
Such accountability, Cory. Such accountability.
Well, with the greatest of respect, or all the respect that Daniel Andrews deserves, what a load of baloney. I mean, this is a bloke who has conveniently ignored whatever health advice he doesn't want to know about and imposes restrictions like, the curfews at night and the lockdowns. And then he trots out the health experts as a human shield. It's like Saddam Hussein when he used to put his supporters around him in case there was a saboteur in the ranks. This bloke is right up to his neck in the decision-making. All the problems should fall at his feet, and he's got to take some accountability and responsibility for it.
But again, Rita, you saw when Rachel Baxendale started to push him, you saw how he treated her. You saw the way that he treated Gabrielle Power, who was doing the questioning on the behalf of Sky News. Normally, Twitter would be in favour of strong independent women asking strong questions of powerful white men. But of course, because they're the Murdoch conspiracy, somehow criticism of the leader is, well, not acceptable.
Yeah, it's funny how the people asking the hard questions, the questions that need answers, tend to be the female journalists, and Andrews doesn't cope with that well. I don't know why that is. Maybe there's just a very solid contingent of female journalists in there. And I thought his tone today, his conduct today, he let the mask slip a little bit. You saw a little bit of the real Daniel Andrews, the people who know him well and work with him closely, say that's a bit closer to the man than the much more measured, reasonable dude who's been fronting up day after day. He was quite hostile, at times just illogically so. He was asked very reasonable questions that he just refused to engage in. And he got very testy yesterday too when he was asked about masks and why should people, say in a country area, or anywhere really, if you're walking along the beach by yourself and there's nobody else around, why should you wear a mask? Because the medical experts tell us if you're outdoors and you're socially distanced, masks don't serve any sort of health benefit. And again, Dan Andrews knows better than the health experts. He just completely dismisses that, and he acknowledges I extend that health advice, and he makes a judgment call. He makes another captain's call, and 5 million Victorians, or more than 5 million Victorians, are at his mercy. It really is insane what we're seeing in this state, and we've seen the health minister go, there's 7 others who've got to follow her out the door. The crisis cabinet of 8, every single one of them is culpable for what's happened in this state. Trying to just throw the health minister under the bus and say that's the price we're paying. Sorry, that ain't going to wash. Not this time.
So, Nicholas, help me out. If the standard for the boardroom of a construction company is you are personally liable if something goes wrong and someone dies, but no one in the public service, no one in the ministry is personally responsible when 760 people die.
Well, I think the standard of proof is a little different there, Paul. If you're going to be held culpable as a director of a company for a workplace injury, you need to be able to prove that there has been negligence in the management of.
What do you think Hotel Quarantine's inquiry was?
What did you think we've just uncovered?
To be able to
Come
direct
on.
that back to the policies and the stance of the directors. But look, there's a bigger point to be made here. I mean, look,
here comes the change of subject.
I do think that Daniel Andrews was getting a little bit snarky there today. But look, the truth is this guy has batted up for 88 days straight and
give
done
him a
press
medal.
conferences. I mean, this is like a Dean Jones double century in Madras.
Oh, come on.
Don't you dare bring
out
that
at the
man's
wicket. It's
name
been a
to this.
superhuman effort. And look,
That's
do
just-
I agree with every one of the restrictions? No, I don't. But if you talk to people, everyone's got their own take on what restrictions should be lifted. For me, I'd like to see kids back at school because I'm homeschooling 3 kids here. I've got friends of mine who are mad golfers. They want to get back on the golf course. For others, it's the curfew. For others, it's the 5-kilometre restrictions. You've got to view all these things as a package. And the fact is the package of measures have been remarkably effective. We've got the numbers down in Melbourne down to
Cory,
single digits. And here's the remarkable thing, Paul, that I really want you to reflect on.
Here's the remarkable thing.
And I want Cory in particular.
No, hang on, Nicholas. Here's the remarkable thing.
No, Nicholas, if you're going to change the subject, make the point within 90 seconds, if that's possible.
We have none of this stuff happening here in South Australia, and we don't have the problems that you do. The lockdown measures simply don't work. It was your incompetence, your government's incompetence, and I cannot believe that you are shredding your credibility by defending it, trying to prop up a dud. What Daniel Andrews reminded me of today was Kevin Rudd, right before he was done in by the factions. He was starting to sound off and tee off at everybody, make comments about journalists' clothes, talk about the Chinese as, rats and so on. This is a bloke at the end of his tether because he knows he's made a complete disaster of a once proud state.